See, that's
Pretty
that's the
average.
kind of scoring that Tennessee was lacking today. Not to take it
Yeah,
back to Tennessee, but
just a little bit.
just a little salty about it.
You can tell we're still
It's
mourning this
fresh. It's a
loss.
it's a
It's
fresh it's a
very
fresh
fresh.
wound.
Welcome to Graveyard Shift Sports, your midnight snack of sports talk. We are your hosts, Josh and Missy Graves, and we're just here to yap about sports.
Just yapping.
Just yapping. Yeah, that's really about it. So, on the agenda for you guys today, of course, we're going to talk about the NCAA tournament, men's and women's. We got a little bit of football news, too. Just some signings and
Some free agency action,
some
you could
free
call it.
agency things. We got a little bit of softball news for the Lady Vols, go Vols, and then I've got one spicy snack for you at the end that I might get worked up about it, so you guys just be ready because
A little bit of a hot take.
This one gets me. It gets me
Are you-
going. So
Would you say that your hot take is going to get you heated?
I will get very, more than warm,
Yeah. Put it on like a spice level, or are we going like cayenne pepper, or are we going like the bomb hot sauce off of Hot
I don't
Ones?
think it's quite the bomb. So you see, I'm not gonna make it the bomb hot sauce, but I mean, like others might. Well, with that'll make sense once we get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing. Look at that.
Foreshadowing, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess without further ado, let's get into it.
All right.
Our first segment, our male. That sounded weird. Men's sports segment, midnight snacks. Our first snack up today, of course, it is March. It's almost the end of March, but it's still March. NCAA tournament. A lot has happened this past week.
It has. There were some highs.
Yes,
There were some lows.
there were some lows,
I'm,
and we're gonna get into them.
yeah, we're fresh
Yeah,
off of Tennessee's loss today. Still
yeah,
stings, but I'm
yeah.
proud of the season that we had. But we can get into that a little bit
Let's
later.
talk about the Sweet 16 first. There's not much I think that we really want to talk about because the Elite Eight's already
Yeah.
over.
One of the
But
key takeaways from the Sweet 16, SEC. Half of the teams that advanced to the Elite Eight were SEC. So
no big deal.
go team. Nearly had 6.
SEC, SEC. You
It
didn't
just
want
means
to.
more, baby.
Thought you were gonna join in on my chant there.
SEC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
keep
I
going.
mean, we almost had 6 of the 8 teams that made it to the Elite Eight. I think we can start with the first one.
Could have.
Arkansas blew a
Mm-hmm.
16-point lead in the second half to Texas Tech. That's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. It went into overtime, didn't it?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. That's tough. That's a tough loss.
And then on the other side, after Tennessee just demolished Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss didn't pull it out against Michigan State.
Yeah.
They at one point also had like a 10-point lead, and then didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, some big leads have been going on. The Elite Eight and the Sweet 16. So anyway, first of all, we need to talk about Tennessee against Kentucky on Friday. That was good. We looked really good.
Well,
Did we? Did we? Nobody looked great. I feel like Kentucky didn't look like they ever actually showed up to the game.
I think we looked good after the first 5 minutes in both halves.
Yeah.
It took 5 minutes for
Yeah,
us to
we had
get
to,
going. And to
reset.
contrast that with today, right? So after 5 minutes went by in the other game, we got hot, started scoring points, started converting each of our possessions. Today, however, we never really got going. And then anytime we started to
No,
build some momentum,
it was immediately.
Houston would go down, hit a 3, and then sucked all the life out of us. But I think what saved us is that when we were playing Kentucky, they started slow too. So even though we would go down and miss our shot, they would go down and also miss their shot or just have a pointless turnover. Whereas today, Houston converted every single one of those into at least 2 points. So
Mhm. Mhm.
we dug a hole pretty early,
I
only
did.
scoring 15 points in the first half. That is probably, I'll go on a
It's
limb and
got to be
say
the
that is
worst.
the
It's
worst
got to be the
half of
worst.
basketball we've ever played. Um, we played better in the second half, but not enough. We
Yeah.
cut their lead to 10 um, at one point, and then Houston basically just took it back and never looked back. So
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't have a lot of comments on like how the game went because I just could not watch. I couldn't watch because it was just painful. It was like we couldn't get into the paint. And then okay, so fine, we're shooting shots around the 3-point line from the outside and we're just bricking them or like they're
yeah,
just it was hard to watch.
I give credit to Houston. The commentators are basically saying they got multiple guys on that team with 7 foot wingspans, so they were just
Oh
able
my
to
gosh.
disrupt and play really hard defense. It'll be interesting to see them play Duke next week in the Final Four because Duke is currently the tallest college basketball team in the NCAA. So they have the most
Hmm.
height. That's also
That's
just
saying something.
yeah, Duke is solid. Um, so, but you know what? Like, I mean, obviously you want to win the whole thing. Can hang our hat proud. We made it to the Elite Eight back-to-back seasons.
That's
Um,
true.
it was a hell of a run for the boys. Just couldn't, everybody has a bad day, and unfortunately, majority of our shooters and scorers had bad days today. Gainey looked good, you know.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. I feel like he does not get the credit that he deserves because
He doesn't.
you hear some people say like, oh, like he's our sixth starter, and that's all well and good, but I still feel like he doesn't get talked about enough.
No.
So let's just sit here and talk about how good he is and how good he was against Kentucky.
Yeah, I think the problem is it's just that Lanier is
Yeah.
so like he's on the same team as Lanier and like Lanier
Yeah.
against Kentucky scored 20. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
get
That's true.
overshadowed basically.
A little bit. But we see you
Yeah.
and we appreciate you.
No, he was the only scorer that showed up today. I mean,
Yeah.
Lanier couldn't hit a shot to save his life.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we had so many, like we were able to create a couple open looks and just never scored. It was
Yeah.
it was tough. But
Oh, that's the thing. We were shooting. That was hard to watch.
yeah, we started 0 for 12 on our threes. Like
Yeah.
that's
We
at
couldn't make
least
a free throw either.
yeah, versus Kentucky, we started 2 for 10 on threes. And then we ended up shooting like 35% or something like that from the three. That didn't happen today. 0 for
No,
12
not
to
today.
start. That was rough, but we move on.
We move on.
Final four. We got three of the slots filled currently.
Yes. So well let's go. So Elite Eight, the games, Tennessee, we lost 69-50.
Yeah, hard to watch.
Hard
Hard
to
to
watch.
watch.
Florida beat Texas
That
84-79. Or
Texas
sorry,
Tech.
Texas Tech.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just to
Florida
clarify.
beat Texas Tech
Yes.
84-79.
That was a big comeback for Florida as well because they had a
Yeah.
point where they hit four back to back to back to back threes
Yeah.
to retake the lead
Got them
there.
going.
And it was
Yeah.
unfortunate for Texas Tech because they couldn't convert something after they would hit these threes. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, Florida's back in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And then Duke beat Alabama 85-65.
that was horrible. I think,
Alabama's their strategy of let's just shoot a million threes and
mhm.
see how it goes. It didn't work this game.
Yeah,
They
so
they
let's,
they go from beating a literally setting a record on how many threes made in a game
yeah,
in a tournament, I assume, or is that all?
no,
I
that's
can't
ever,
remember.
ever.
Um, they go from that to I mean shooting threes like that's like their strategy, and then they just weren't hitting them.
Yeah, so let's go back to that too on the Sweet 16 game for Alabama.
Yeah.
25 made threes. Most most they've ever done. But that's not the
Mhm.
shocking thing to me. The shocking thing to me was that they attempted 51 threes in that game and they only attempted 16 two-pointers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Of their 67 shots, 51 of them were from three.
Yeah. And
Nuts.
they played BYU in that game, right?
Yeah.
What was tough about that, we were talking about it the other day. BYU didn't play, they didn't look bad.
No, and
They just,
BYU is
you
a good
can't
scoring team
do
too.
anything when they're shooting that many threes and making them. Like,
Yeah. Even
that's
even
just
at the
tough
end of the
luck.
game when they're already up 20,
Yeah.
quick pass, Bama hits another three. And
Yep.
like they didn't even need to shoot them at that point. They were just going
Yeah.
for it for fun. Like they already had the record and they were just stat
Just
padding
keep
on
it
the
going.
record. But
Keep it going. Yeah.
I think that Sweet 16 game, I think Alabama used up all their luck.
I
Um,
think so.
yeah, that
I think
was
so. It was gone.
you know,
Yeah. So,
that's hard.
what is the score right now? So, it is currently 7:02 on Sunday. So, the Auburn Michigan State game is still going.
There is
There's
3
three and a
minutes
half minutes
37
left.
seconds and Auburn's
They're
up
up
by
by
12.
12. Yeah. So, that's
So,
something I want to talk about. Other than the Florida Texas Tech game,
mhm.
these games were not like they're not close.
No, and which is kind of
Why?
surprising because you look at the teams that made it to the Elite Eight,
Yeah.
they're all very highly ranked. Like there's I mean,
Yeah.
as it stands, unless Michigan State pulls off a huge comeback with 12 being in a 12-point deficit with three and a
Yeah.
half to go, it's going to be four one seeds that make it to the
Yeah.
Final Four. So
Which is
if you
crazy.
chose your brackets and you did chalk, you're probably
Yeah.
looking pretty good right now.
Looking decent at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought it'd be closer, but I think the
Mhm.
difference is that you got to have good defense, and I think that's what we've seen. And if you, I don't know, you got to like that seems like the standout thing to me was the
Defense.
defensive play.
Well, you got to think of two of the pressure and the location that they're playing at because I've heard that it's harder to play in these like domed arenas. Is that what they're
Hmm.
called? Like it's harder to shoot because the way the ceiling is, it like throws off your depth perception.
Yeah,
And I mean, that would make sense looking at it like
makes
linear and
makes sense.
all that. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe that has something to do with why like the teams that weren't getting hot were really not getting hot. Um, I don't know.
It's also just that rhythm, right? Like if you start the game by shooting bricks and you can never get a clean look to actually get the flow going, you never hit your rhythm and you never get hot.
It's tough.
Yeah,
I see
I'm
it.
also I was disappointed. Um, I kind of thought the Elite Eight games were all going to be like really close matches,
Yeah.
really contested, but kind of didn't turn out that way. I was also
Mm-mm.
really hoping that Bama would beat Duke.
Yeah.
One, because I wanted an all SEC Final Four. But two, I'm so tired of hearing all of the commentators just talk about how good Duke is and how amazing Cooper Flag is.
Yeah.
Like, don't get
Well,
me
he is.
wrong, he's great, but he started the game 1 for 6 against Bama for
Yeah.
shooting, and the commentators are still just like, man, Flag can hit from anywhere, anytime he wants to, and it's like, okay, but he's not,
Yeah.
like I'm fine giving him his flowers when he's like doing something on the court, but when you start 1 for 6, let's talk about the other Duke players that are actually hitting those shots. You
True.
know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of great talent on that team, which is frustrating because Duke's always good, but I'm sure that's how other conferences
How it
feel about
goes.
the SEC and stuff
Oh yeah.
with
Yeah. Yeah.
football. So,
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't realize that Cooper Flag is well, not only is he's a freshman, I knew that,
yeah.
but he is young too. He graduated high school a year early.
Hmm.
Did I hear that right?
Yes.
That's crazy. So he's like 17 or maybe just turned 18. I don't know.
Yeah, and he's already got all the brand deals.
Yeah.
He'll be in the NBA next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like official? He's declared for the draft?
He's going. 100% he'll go.
Yeah. Feel
Yeah,
good about
because
that?
yeah, I mean there's no reason for him to stick behind, right? Especially like
Oh,
Like let's go on a limb here and say that Duke wins the national championship this year. No reason to go back. He can go to the NBA and start making millions of dollars as opposed to, he's
yes,
probably already making some millions in brand deals,
right.
but
So then I wonder
those brand deals
how,
will continue and he'll get
yeah,
more brand deals and a big contract.
I wonder how NIL is going to affect the pace at which these players go pro. Because the whole reason to go pro, or one of the main ones, right, is to start making money. But if you can do that already at the college level, that's definitely a draw to like stay there longer.
Oh yeah, for sure. If
So
you're not going to be a high draft pick in your sport, stay behind because you'll get paid
yeah.
more. Like I think a good example of that is Ziegler, like great player, but he's probably not going to have a huge NBA career, right? And so for him, stay in college, continue playing because one, you get to play the sport that you love. Two, there is no shot he goes anywhere out to eat here in Knoxville and people
Hmm.
make him pay his check. He's getting every meal for free. So
You think?
he's basically Tennessee royalty at this point because of,
Yeah.
he came here, did what he did,
Yeah.
phenomenal defensive player. But yeah,
Yeah.
Cooper Flag's the solidified like number one overall draft pick for this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
He
Final
played
Four.
this past year, like this past summer before the Summer Olympics. He was on the junior team that played against the NBA like the
Like the
starters
practice
for
squad,
the
right?
US
Yeah, I heard
Olympic
about this.
team. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he played phenomenal against them.
Yeah.
They nearly beat them.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's embarrassing.
yeah. So
Just kidding.
man, that's a kid coming out of high school at that point. He's not even in college yet.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to watch him. Um, but anyway, all that being said, the Final Four is gonna be Duke versus Houston, and looking like it's gonna be Florida versus Auburn. There's 2 minutes
Hmm.
left in the Auburn game, but they cut the lead down to 9.
Yeah,
But
64-55 right now,
I think
2:15 to
Auburn's
go.
led like this entire game, so. But I
Yeah,
guess we'll see. We'll see what
I think
happens
there was
there.
like one point where it was 11-10 Michigan State up, but I think that was the last
Uh-huh.
time Michigan State led.
Oh,
So,
well. Any other basketball thoughts?
uh,
Men's basketball thoughts?
men's basketball, no. I think the
Okay.
Houston Duke game is going to be really good to watch.
Yeah.
Florida Auburn, we've already seen this year, just in regular SEC play. But
True.
I think Duke versus Houston is going to be a really good game. I'll be interested to see that because Houston's got big guys. We just talked
Mhm.
about how Duke has the tallest team in NCAA basketball right now. Um, and then they're both so good defensively, but also offensively. It'll be interesting I think that'll be a good game.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good game. Florida versus Auburn, I feel like Florida is winning that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Florida just has so much depth.
Yeah.
But, I mean, with that being said, Broome for Auburn is a monster.
Yeah,
He had,
he is.
I think he had like near half the points for Auburn in the first half of today's game. Like he's just a force, Like he gets in the paint and then just boxes out, throws up a two,
Yeah,
boom,
he's
bam.
got 25 points right now.
Yeah,
Broome does of their 64.
pretty decent.
So,
See, that's
pretty
that's the kind of
average.
scoring that Tennessee was lacking today. Not to take it
Yeah,
back to Tennessee, but
just a little bit.
just a little salty about it.
You can tell we're still
It's
mourning this
fresh.
loss.
It's a
It's
it's a
very
fresh
fresh.
wound.
So anyway, let's move on. Um, our next snack. Moving on to football. The Russell Wilson signed to the Giants.
Yep. So, I mean, if you rewind, 2 weeks ago, Giants didn't have a
Mm-hmm.
quarterback. They had Tommy DeVito on the team as their starting quarterback. He has started games for them, but that is probably not the quarterback of the future for their franchise. Then last week, fast forward to last week, Jameis Winston got signed. So at that point, Jabo was going to be the starter for the New York Giants. And now,
Mhm.
fast forward to this week, Russell
Podcast
Wilson
sound effects.
signs with the Giants. So now you've got Russell Wilson with a solid backup in Jameis Winston. Um, both very experienced quarterbacks. I think this is a good move for
Yeah.
Russell Wilson. Giants drafted Malik Neighbors last year. He's a great wide receiver, so they've got some weapons. I think the big
Mhm.
question mark will be their offensive line that has been lacking for the last 2 to 3 seasons. But you know, I think it's the battle for the suck in New York right now because
Battle
Jets
for the what?
battle for the suck
What?
between the Jets and the Giants, right? Like both teams
Oh my
suck.
gosh. Okay, I'm following now.
Yeah,
I didn't know
which
what
team sucks
you
more?
meant by that comment.
Um, I think it's a competition to see who can be a worse team. So they're both in complete rebuilds, right? But I think the Jets are better off than the Giants right now.
You think the Jets are better off than the Giants?
I think so, yeah.
Why?
Go back 2 years, their defense for the Jets was like one of the best in the league. This past year, they weren't great, which was it was weird. They still thought they were one of the best defenses, but if you looked at any stat, they weren't one of the best defenses last year. Um, so they've got the potential there, and then also, um, well, I don't know because wide receiver wise, they're trading everybody out too. So I don't know who they're throwing to.
You take it
Uh,
back.
I don't know, but Giants suck. They're just bad. So
Yeah,
I mean, they got
it's
Russell
not
Wilson
looking
now,
good for New
but
York.
Russell Wilson might be running for his life behind their offensive line. Jets'
Mm.
offensive line also sucks. Jets lost Devontae Adams, and I think they still have Alan Lazard, and I think they're trying to trade him, or he's been cut. One of the two. They're either actively trying to trade Lazard or they've cut him. So I don't know who the Jets wide receiver is right now, actually. Um,
And you think they're in a better spot than the Giants?
yeah, I mean, they've got Garrett Wilson. But I think that's their only wide receiver right now. Giants have Malik Neighbors. Yeah, I think it's toss up.
Okay,
I'm gonna leave
okay,
it as it's toss up.
okay.
What are your thoughts?
You didn't really sell me there that the Jets are in a better
No,
place than the Giants.
I think they're both bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Final
So what
final
you're saying
answer.
is they're tied in the battle of the suck.
Yes. Stay
Oh.
tuned. We'll track that throughout the entire season.
Okay. Do we
Yeah.
have to?
Yeah. Fun segment right there.
Okay. Um. Anyway, moving on. Stefon Diggs signs to the Patriots.
Yep. Um I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. He it feels like he just signed with the Texans. But with that, Texans wide receiver room is pretty stacked, so they don't necessarily need Stefon Diggs. He also just is coming off of a torn ACL that he had week 8 this past year. So recovering from that, he is a little bit older. He's been on a few teams now. Um, so I think it's a great pickup for the Patriots because they need all the offensive help they can get. And I think it makes complete sense as to why the Texans let him go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good
Smaller,
deal.
on a smaller, because I look at that as like a marquee signing, same with Russell Wilson. But the Texans are adding a lot of pieces that will contribute to the overall team in free agency right now. And so I think as far as winning the AFC South goes, the Texans are really setting themselves up for success right now. Especially when you look
Okay.
at the other teams, right? Like you got the Colts. Okay, what's happening with their quarterback room? They've got Daniel Jones, and then they've got uh, a it'll be a third year rookie in Anthony Richardson, but it's really a first year rookie because one, he got injured like 3 games in his rookie season, He also only played 16 games in college before going to the NFL. So he doesn't have a ton of experience in college. He only got to play like 3 games in the first season. And then this past season, he got to start more games, but then he got benched and they started Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco didn't work out for him, so they put Anthony Richardson back in. And then he had the lowest completion percentage of any quarterback in the NFL last year. I think he actually set a record for the worst completion percentage ever
Wow,
in a season.
that's tough.
So he's supposed to be the quarterback of the future, but they brought Daniel Jones in to like have a QB competition between each other. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So you've got that.
Hmm.
You've got the Titans, which is a dumpster fire. I think we have 3 quarterbacks on staff right now, and if you take their combined records for
Who are the
starts,
three?
um, it's Will Levis, and then
Oh,
2 guys you're not going to know who they are.
but aren't they? I thought we were gonna write this as something to talk about. Aren't the Titans gonna? It looks like they're gonna draft Cam Ward. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the odds-on favorite right now to be drafted #1 overall. So
Yeah.
I'd say there's a pretty good shot of him getting taken. He looked really good at his pro day this
Past year.
past
Hmm.
week. Um, but my concern is Zach Wilson also looked really good at his pro day, and the like across the body, across the field throw that Cam Ward did that was super impressive at his pro day is the exact same throw that Zach Wilson stunned all of the agents with
Uh,
his pro day. And then I mean we all know how Zach Wilson's career at the Jets panned out. Not great.
okay.
So yeah,
Well,
I'm optimistic. I think Cam Ward
you
will.
have to be if you're a
I mean,
Titans fan.
I think Cam Ward's going to be way better than mayonnaise boy and Will Levis. So he tried so hard, but that was honestly a detriment. Was that he tried too hard on some plays?
Yeah.
Like when you're like full scorpion laid out on the field, trying to throw the pass.
Listen, he's given it his all.
It
Okay.
was
You
he
can't
did.
say that he didn't try his best.
It was very Carson Wentz-esque of
I don't know who that
Carson
is.
Carson Wentz played for the Colts last, then he was on the Chiefs last year, and I think he's on another team now. He's got his two, one or two Super Bowls. Anyways, Carson Wentz, former like major starter in the NFL, um,
Hmm.
he sprained both of his ankles on the same play, but he was one that
Both
would
ankles on the same play.
yes
How do you
he
do that?
you try too hard like Will Levis. Like
Oh my God.
you're having a heart attack with every single play with both of these guys, right? Like that's what Carson Wentz football is he
Oh my
goes out there and
God.
he is going to give you 110%. But sometimes you might want him to only give like 90 because that extra 10% is him throwing interceptions trying to force a ball into like triple coverage.
Okay. Both ankles on the same play.
Both angles on the same play.
That's
Honestly, I don't know if that's ever been done before
I
in
didn't
the
realize
NFL.
that that was physically possible.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well,
and then
anyway.
Jacksonville to wrap up this AFC South
Yeah.
conversation. They paid Trevor Lawrence a ton of money, and I think there's still question marks on him as an NFL quarterback. He was phenomenal at Clemson in college, but as
Hmm.
far as NFL goes, he's been kind of lackluster thus far.
We'll see.
We'll see. So,
All right.
yeah, all in all, to wrap that up, good trade for Houston to have Stefon Diggs
Stefon
go to
Diggs
the
to the
Patriots for a
Patriots.
solid
Yeah.
paycheck,
Yeah.
and good good for the Patriots. They need
Yeah.
wide receivers.
Okay. Okay. Our last snack. Deion Sanders has signed a new deal with Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be staying there to coach for, did it say how long? How
Five
long
years.
was the 5 years?
5 years.
So,
I think makes well. I want
Ooh,
to say
oh,
I want to say I think it makes sense. What is kind of confusing is that he just got there to Colorado like 2 years ago. Now, given he has completely turned that program around, and they actually had a
hmm.
positive record this past year, whereas in years prior they were horrible. I mean, that's the whole reason he got brought in was to turn the program around, which he has. But with that being said, I think this is a big signing
Hmm.
because one, it quiets all the conversations that happened about Deion taking a NFL team position as a head coach. There was a lot of talk about like,
Oh,
will he be
okay.
the Cowboys' next head coach and all of this because him and Jerry Jones are known to have a lot of respect for each other. Um, Jerry Jones being the owner of the Cowboys. So that was a big question mark is like, oh, is there a potential that Dion gets a head coaching position in the NFL and then Shador gets drafted to that team so that those two stay together. So there was a
Yeah,
whole thing about that.
okay.
So I think this quiets all of that conversation with him signing this suspension with Colorado.
Yeah, that's I didn't realize people were talking about that being a possibility, but that would be silly. Okay, cool. Well, he stays there for 5 more years. Do we
Mm-hmm.
anything else to say there?
No, it'll be interesting to see how Colorado does this next year. They got a huge recruit as their starting quarterback probably next year, coming out of high school. He'll be a true freshman, but he's one of the top quarterbacks coming out this next year. I think he's like top five. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
solid talent.
Go on. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's about it for our midnight snacks. Um, Moving on to our next segment, Girl Dinner. This is where we nibble on all things women's sports. And of course, right now, we're talking about the NCAA tournament. So, first, the Lady Vols are out. We
Yeah,
lost in the Sweet 16 to Texas, 67-59. So, that's sad,
yeah.
but oh well. That's all I have to say about that, really.
You know what? I mean, what I gotta say is that first year head coach for the Lady Vols and Kim Hamlin. I think she's.
It's her
I
first
think
year.
yeah. I think we've got a lot to be
I didn't
excited
realize
for
that.
with her.
Yeah. Yeah. On to next year.
Yep.
Um, okay, well, other than that, USC, of course, Juju Watkins had her injury. During the second round, the Mississippi State game, she tore her ACL, which is hard. You hate to
That
see
really
a
sucks.
player go through that. Yeah, especially during the tournament. That's tough. But I will say it's cool to see the outpouring of support that she's receiving from everybody. Like other players, it seemed like it just looks scrolling through Instagram, like other players are reaching out to her and showing sympathy and um it's cool because you hear the announcers talking about how great of a basketball player she is, blah blah blah, like USC, they're doing great, whatever. And then this happens, and then what they talk about is the impact that her not playing will have on the sport, like just her not being there, which is like the one person having that much of an impact on something is really
Yeah.
powerful. um but all that being said, I think she's gonna I'm excited to see her come back next year and see how much stronger going through an injury like that makes her.
Yeah.
So but it was cute to see in the last game. They played Kansas State in the Elite Eight, right? Yeah, the Elite Eight. And they had a cute little like Funko Pop Juju doll. Did you see it
Nice.
sitting on the sideline? It was
That's
so cute.
awesome.
Yeah. So that was wholesome. So yeah, they beat Kansas State and they're advancing. No, sorry, that was the Sweet 16. So they're advancing to the Elite Eight now to play, and they'll be playing UConn, which segues
Sounds
us into talking about UConn.
yeah.
Um, they
H-back
beat
raises
Oklahoma. Yeah,
cracked.
I know. They beat Oklahoma 62-59. So UConn will be advancing, obviously. And yeah, Paige Beckers is correct. Don't get me wrong, USC is obviously still a really good team without Juju, right? Like they still won their Sweet 16 game against Kansas State, but I do wonder how much it's going to impact like how far they're going to get. I mean, I had USC winning the whole thing. I did.
Which I think makes sense with Juju Watkins. It's like
Yeah.
to your point, I think USC is still a great team. I just what I'm noticing with women's basketball and honestly for this year, men's basketball as well with the one seeds, based on where they're seated at,
Uh-huh.
they are very clearly they have earned that spot. So your
Yeah.
top seeds are dominating the lower seeded teams. And I think with
Yeah.
Juju Watkins, solidified one seed. But you take away the talent that is Juju Watkins, and you've got UConn that still has their Paige Beckers, then it's going to be it'll be a huge uphill battle for USC.
Yeah. I was trying to pull up the stats to look at some of their other players. So Kennedy Smith in their Kansas State game, she had 19 points. She did great. Avery Howell had 18. Kiki is Kiki's a really great player. She only had 7 points, but she is definitely one of their front runners for sure. She had 8 rebounds. So, I mean, they've still got a solid stack here. It's just seeing one of their key players. We'll see how that affects them.
Yeah.
Um,
But at the same time, you might rally them.
for
Like,
sure. I
hey,
definitely
let's
think there's a
do it for Juju.
yeah, there's definitely that
Camaraderie.
unifying moment or that feeling right of like doing it for one of their players.
Yeah,
So that definitely plays a factor, but
yeah.
I don't know. Well, we will see. They play UConn tomorrow at 9 p.m. Why do these games start so late? Uh,
Get your coffee ready.
yep. Yeah. And then so the other game tomorrow at 7 is Texas and TCU. So TCU, I did want to talk about TCU. Oh, wait, one more thing about UConn is Paige Beckers did officially enter the WNBA draft, and I saw a clip of her like answering questions, and she was like, "Yeah, to be honest, I thought I entered a long time ago." I was like,
Nice.
"Okay, that's funny." Um, so I think she's gonna do a lot for the league. She's gonna bring
Yeah,
a lot of attention to it, so that's exciting.
I would
So
bet she'll be number one overall pick.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. But TCU also has Haley Van Lith, who is, I don't know, I guess I haven't looked to see if she has entered the draft or not, but I would assume she has. She's old enough, right? Yeah, she's 23. Yeah, so she's pretty badass too. She's on TCU this year, and they beat Notre Dame 71-62 to get um to advance. And I saw a stat about her, about Haley, that she has been to the NCAA tournament with 3 different teams.
Dang, that's crazy.
She was on Louisville, and of course she's on TCU now. What is the other team? I'm blanking on the other team that she was on. LSU. She was on LSU as well. So
That's nuts.
she is someone we need to be watching too. So tomorrow, you better be ready, Josh. We got like 4 more hours of basketball to watch. Are you ready?
No.
Because we haven't watched enough this year or this
Yeah.
month. Yeah, that's the that's that. Oh, South Carolina also has advanced. So we're recording this on Sunday, right? And so half of their Final Four, half of the women's Final Four has been decided. So South Carolina will advance to the Final Four. They beat Duke 50-54, and
Hmm.
then UCLA has also advanced. They beat LSU 72-65. So we've got half of our Final Four. So the winner of UConn USC will play UCLA, and then the winner of Texas TCU. Oh, interesting. Texas TCU, a little in-state rivalry there.
Uh-huh.
Will play South Carolina. So
We're looking at
there's that.
just mascots. I feel like Texas definitely wins. A longhorn
Okay.
versus a horned frog. Yeah.
Okay.
Texas wins.
Should we get the mascots in a ring to battle it out? Or
Might be the move. You know what?
yeah,
Tiebreaker? Forget. You know what? Hang on. Pause. Forget overtime, right?
yeah.
We're just putting the mascots out there, center court. They get some type
Hmm.
of weapon, and it's a battle. Whoever wins the game.
It seems a little unfair.
Why?
Yeah, frogs are small.
Pick a better mascot. I don't know what
And
to tell you.
honestly, I don't know if you're thinking this through, Josh, because like Tennessee's a we're a dog.
No, we're a dog and a volunteer. We have a gun,
Okay.
a
We have a
musket.
gun.
We have a
Okay, okay.
musket and a
Okay.
hound dog.
I didn't
We're
realize
ready.
we were. All right.
We
Yeah,
might.
we
I don't
can we
know
can go
how.
hunting, that's for sure.
I mean, I don't know how much damage the musket's going to be doing to like an elephant for Alabama.
That's
Um,
true. Yeah.
we're going to need to be pretty darn accurate as well for the tiger from LSU. So that's something to keep an eye on there.
Yeah.
But maybe the tiger gets eliminated by, say, the Longhorns.
Maybe.
Something to think about. I mean,
Is it?
yeah.
You're thinking about it. I don't know if anyone else is.
I think this is a fun conversation here.
Yeah.
Like. But yeah, I think overtime should be decided by the mascots fighting. Just
Okay.
have,
We should pitch that and
yeah,
see how
yeah.
far
I'll
it
I'll
goes.
take it up at the next league meeting.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Well, there you go. That's the NCAA tournament. I did want to also just note one thing because I blew my own mind today that Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark are the same age. They're both 23. And I don't know why in my head I just thought that Caitlin Clark was like 26.
Yeah,
She's not. She's 23.
I
So,
think it's because we've heard about her for so long.
yeah,
Like she's been
probably.
so relevant for a
Yeah.
while now.
Yeah. It just made me feel old. So,
Yeah.
just gonna go cry myself to sleep now. So anyway, the Lady Vols had a record-breaking softball pitch. So, okay, go off. Carlin Pickens, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Pickens, she had a record-breaking pitch of 78 miles per hour and
From throwing gas.
throwing straight gas. She held the previous record at 77, so she just dethroned herself, which is kind of a crazy move.
Yeah, gotta respect
Must
that.
be nice. Yeah, yeah. But so you can do like a conversion of like a softball pitch to a baseball pitch, and I
Hmm.
think the conversion for that is like 110 or something, which
Yeah,
is
crazy.
crazy. Like what do college baseball pitchers like? What are their
Well,
average?
the fastest. I'm glad you segued us into
Oh,
that.
do you're ready for this?
The
Okay, go.
fastest baseball pitch is also by Tennessee at 105.2. Um,
Okay, go
it's
on.
a like you're a phenomenal fastball pitcher if you can go over 100. So,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. So what I'm hearing is that she's like better than the baseball guys, is what I'm hearing.
It would be interesting. I'm sure somebody's done this at some point, but
Yeah.
if you take a baseball player and you put them on home plate and the
Mhm.
softball player pitches from where they pitch at, which is 45 feet, I believe, as opposed to the 60 feet. Does the baseball player hit it? And then vice versa, put a softball player out there with the baseball pitcher pitching from their mound, which is 60 feet out.
Mm. I don't know.
Be interesting.
I didn't realize that they were different. The fields were different, like
Yeah.
sizes.
That's why the conversion, because you got to take
Oh.
into reaction time, because it's a shorter
I see.
distance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know a lot about baseball and softball yet. I'm new to baseball and
So
softball.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
We haven't watched a lot of it.
But what I do know is that the volunteers, men and women, pretty good at it. So that's really all
Pretty
that I need
decent.
to know at
Yeah.
this point. So
What more do you
cool.
need to say?
Nothing on that. I'm good. What about you?
I'm good there.
Okay.
I do just need to segue into a new topic really quick.
Uh,
That
go ahead.
is NCAA men's swimming. So last week
Okay.
we wrapped up women's NCAA swimming, and
Yes.
we talked about how fast Gretchen Walsh is.
Yes.
This week we got to talk about how quick Jordan Crooks is. Okay, we've talked about him. We
I
did the
can't believe we
comparison
forgot to
of
talk
him
about
to
this.
Caleb
Yeah.
Dressel, and
Yeah.
I think we can solidify that conversation now
Yeah.
because he broke Dressel's 100 free record, sub 30,
Yep.
sub 40, 39.83. Just insane. That
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think
What
the
was
go
what
ahead.
was Dressel's record?
Dressel was a 39.9 and Crooks
Okay.
went 39.83.
Okay.
Just
That was close.
ridiculous. That
Yeah.
that honestly was a record that like Crooks and Leando had both been close, but
Mhm.
I like in my head, just for one, Dressel was the first person to ever go sub 40.
Mhm.
It felt like something that was unobtainable. And
Yeah.
I guess we felt the same way about going sub 18 in the 50 freestyle, and we've just gotten used to the fact that Crooks is going to go sub 18 in the 50 free. But I mean, just crazy, crazy at the
Mhm.
fact that he went 39.83, set the new record. Now, yeah, we got to preface this. That was in prelims. Crooks did get second in finals to Josh Leando. Crooks only went like a 40.06, and
Dang.
Leando went 39.99 to become the third person to go sub 40 in the
I guess
50
I'm
freestyle.
40. Dang.
So,
That's always tough when you go faster in prelims than you do in finals. I hate
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So that was tough.
Well.
But gets the record, gets second
Mhm.
place. He
Mhm.
won 50 free. So honestly, I mean, like Tennessee's kind of the goated sprint program right now for the men's side, we'll say, because
It's not a
Gretchen
big
Walsh
deal.
again still exists on the women's side.
Yeah.
But with that being said, if you go back a couple years, Erica Brown dominated the 50 free. So
Mm.
I don't know, still a dominant sprint program. But
Yeah.
yeah, we won the 50 freestyle with Crooks. Um, And then follow up in the 200 free relay, we were the fastest ever 100 split on a two free relay. We also won
Ever
that
hundred
race
split.
overall, so we were champions, NCAA champs in that race. But the splits for the leadoff 100 was 1782 from Jordan Crooks, and then Caribe went 1781 as the follow up. So
This is the two free relay?
two free relay.
Okay, I thought you okay.
Yeah.
Following.
Now, and then fast
It's crazy.
forward the four free relay to close out the whole meet.
Missy.
Tennessee also won. So
Yeah.
yeah, you on that one you had Caribe lead off in a 40.57, and they put Crooks as the anchor on this one, and he closed in a 39.36. Just let that sink in. 39.36. He took it out in an
Okay.
18.3. That
Yeah,
is
so okay.
stupid.
One thing we should probably explain. He closed in at 39.36. We were just talking about going sub 40 is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's from a flat start. When you're the last leg on a relay, you're doing a relay start, which is where you see like on at the Olympics where they wind up their arms and go.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure people understand that that's the difference. That's why you're going to go faster from a relay start than you are from a flat start in just a normal event.
Yeah, and part of that too is going to be the reaction time. So I've actually got the reaction times here. Caribe's reaction time on the start, so he's starting from a flat start, was
Mm-hmm.
0.58. Average is somewhere around like mid point sixes. With that being said, with the relay start, Crooks's reaction time to get off the block was 0.21. So
Yeah,
you're
so that's
talking
the time between when the swimmer in the water touches the wall and
the foot
their
leaves the
feet
block.
leave the new person's feet leave the block.
And we're talking 2/10 of a second difference for Crooks on that turn.
Crazy.
So it
Crazy.
makes a difference, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Four
Definitely.
tenths. So you add that
Uh-huh.
back, he would have gone 39.76.
Yeah. So,
700s off what he went in prelims for the 100 free. So just, I mean, crazy. But
yeah.
um, Texas ended up winning. They were just
Hmm.
so dominant at all mid distance and distance events. It's kind of unfair when you have Bob Bowman as a coach. He's now back to back national champs with Arizona State and now Texas,
Yeah.
bringing Texas back to being one of the best, if not the best, swim program in
Program. Yep.
history.
Yep.
So Bob Bowman took the reins over from Eddie Reese, and Eddie Reese. I mean, there was a point where you could go to Texas and you were guaranteed you would get a national championship at one of your 4 years
One of
while
your
you were
years.
there. He was
Wow.
so good. But with that being said, Bob Bowman also so good. For those of
Hmm.
you that don't know, Bob Bowman is Michael Phelps's head coach, and I think
Hmm.
we all know who that is.
I
So
think we do.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
good coach.
Just a little bit.
It
Just, I
raises the,
think he might know what he's doing a little bit.
yeah, it raises the question: how hard do you think his practices are?
I don't want to know. I don't. I don't want to know.
Because I would assume, right? Like even with NIL, like NCAA regulations are that you can only train for 20 hours a week. So given we both swam, right?
Hmm.
Did the 20 hours a week for my 4 years. Practices were tough, but I have a feeling that our hardest practices were probably equivalent to what they are doing in taper. Taper is when you kind of take your load off with your
Kind of
training to,
rest, quote unquote,
yeah, let the
rest
body
before a meet.
rejuvenate so that when you get to the big meet, you are as fresh as possible.
Yeah.
But you obviously need to keep swimming or else you'll lose your feel for the water. So you do lesser, easier, easier
Yeah.
practices.
Dude,
I
well, they're
can't
also
imagine.
just such a different caliber of athlete that, like, I don't even think you can compare how hard their practices are versus ours
No,
or ours
I
are.
think, yeah, I agree with you on that one. Because like,
Crazy. Like,
just to recap, Texas won the 200 free relay, or not two free
uh-huh.
relay, the 200 free individual, and Luke Hobson went 129, or yeah, he went 129.6 in prelims. He went 128.33 in finals. It's an NCAA record, and he held 22s for the back 150. Took it out in a 20.68. That's ridiculous. He won it by over a second.
I'm
And
speechless.
and the backup, the guy that got second, Chris Giuliano, he was on the Olympic team this past year with Hobson. Uh, he was on the 4 free relay for America. Like he is one of the fastest guys, Luke
Yeah.
Hobson, though. Crazy. So, yeah, all that to say, Texas did end up winning
Texas is cracked.
the whole kit and caboodle.
Mm-hmm.
So, Texas cracked. It was kind of close.
Oh
Texas had
yeah.
four. Texas actually they had 490 points. California was behind them with 471, and then
Okay.
Indiana, which is it's kind of nice seeing Indiana's name back up there. They kind of slacked for a little bit, but they were 459. So
What did Tennessee get?
fifth.
Oh, on men's and women's?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what we got on the women's? Sweet. Okay.
Yep.
Well, at
We'll
least we're
take a top
consistent.
five.
Yeah.
We
Cool.
beat former national champs in Arizona State. So,
Okay.
but I think a lot of the Arizona State people that were like top transferred to Texas. So
Hmm.
to follow Bob Bowman,
That would make
yeah.
sense.
So do with that what you will. But
Okay. Well, that was a nice
yeah, just needed to give a
bonus.
shout out to swimming.
Little
You
bonus.
know,
Yeah.
pretty insane things that we've seen this year for college swimming.
Yeah. Well, okay, we have one more thing to talk about. We have a spicy snack. So these are our hot takes, if you can even call them a hot take. Just our opinions, things that we think or want to talk about. And so this is mine this week, and I just want to say women can know sports too. We can be fans of sports and like actually understand what's going on and like be able to commentate on it and like add our thoughts and opinions and like understand the rules and things like that.
No, it's
It's
illegal.
like not a wild idea that women can follow what's going on in a game.
It's not allowed.
It's just like ever since we started this little podcast, I've gotten comments like, "Oh, I didn't know you followed sports like that. Oh, you're a good little sports fan." Like, "Oh, yes, I am. Been an athlete my whole life. Nothing's changed. Here I am."
Had to get that off the chest.
I did.
Yeah,
It's
no,
ridiculous.
no, it's fair.
Yeah, so that was all I want to say about that. It's fine. Women can know sports. Thank you.
True, true that.
Cool. Well,
That could be a conversation point though. With I've seen some stuff about Candace Parker, and people saying online that she should not be speaking on men's basketball. She is the
why?
she is the only
Why?
woman that is on that panel.
Another thing that really grinds my gears is that when you're watching women's like basketball and they go to the halftime and it's the people commentating on it, like talking about the game. It's always all women. You can never have a man talking about women's sports, and apparently you can never have a woman talking about men's sports. Like, why is this? Why is it so? We can be fans of the opposite gender doing athletic things. Like, I don't understand why there can't be more of a crossover.
It's not allowed. You know what? Absolutely not. Keep them separate. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty crazy. I thought it was a joke whenever I was like looking at the posts initially, and then I went into the comment section, and no, a lot of people
People
felt that way about Candace. She
Women
shouldn't be
are not
speaking
allowed
on
to
it.
watch sports. We're not allowed to like sports. We're not allowed to know anything about sports because men are the only ones who get it. Women just don't get it.
Well, about men's sports.
All right.
What women can know about it, about on the women's side.
I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna fight you.
Throw some fisticuffs.
I will throw some fisticuffs,
You
okay?
know what? You choose a team. I'll choose a team. Game goes to overtime. We'll throw down in the middle.
We'll be the mascots
Yeah,
throwing down in the middle.
we'll be the mascots.
Are we dressed up in the so okay, so back to that conversation. Is it the actual animals or is it the people dressed up as the mascots?
I think it'd be easier to have them dressed up as mascots. I think go that route. It was a huge ordeal for LSU to get the tiger on the field
Yeah,
for the game this year.
that could
So
be
with that being said,
entertaining.
I think just the person in the mascot outfit,
Okay,
which
that makes more sense.
but but we still get the musket.
That just well, at that point, that's just violent.
It can be a fake one, but I mean you could still like turn
Hit
that
them
thing
with it.
around and use it as club, you know? Like
Okay,
listen, we got to take every advantage we can get
okay,
here.
yeah.
We're scrappy.
Well, now I'm mad. Got me all worked up.
And a tizzy over there.
I'm all in a tizzy. That's it. That's all we got for you guys. All right. So
Gotta close it out now.
thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.